This video is about generating random floats in Python. So random numbers that include values to the right of the decimal point. So in Visual Studio Code, I've already created a file called random_float.py. And we need to import random just as we did before. And as a review, so recall, you can do something like this. num1 equals random.randint. This is something we already know. And this will generate a value that's a random integer between 0 and 100, including both endpoints. Now we can also generate a random float by doing the following. So we're going to set it equal, whatever we generate will be stored in the value num as a float. And so it's random dot random bracket bracket. So randomizes a float between 0 and 1, not including 1. So in mathematical notation, it would look like this. It would be 0, 1. The square brace indicates that that endpoint is included, and the round brace indicates that that endpoint is not included. So the lower 0 is included, the upper one is not included. So it's going to be a value between 0 and 0.99999 repeating. I'm going to just move around my comments so they look like this. Now we can run this program, print the value of num, run it to see that we get a value somewhere between 0 and 1. So I'm getting 0.26 something. Next time I ran it again, and now I'm getting 0.715, etc. And it's you can round that number to 2 decimal places if you want, or 1 decimal place. But it's going to be a number less than 1. Okay, what if we wanted to show 10 at a time? So I'm going to put a for loop in here. For I in range 0 to 10, and run it. And I'll have to move this up a bit so I can see the terminal better. And you can see that I'm getting 10 different values, all in the range 0 to 1, not including 1. You could randomize 0.00000. It'd be very unlikely. Okay, so that's how you generate a number between 0 and 1. What if you wanted to generate a number between 0 and 10? Well, in that case, what we would do is take the result and multiply it by 10. So I'm just going to go to the end of this line and multiply it by 10. So now all of my values are between 0 and 10. So it randomizes a value between 0 and 1 and 10. So the smallest value I should expect, if random.random generates 0 times 10, 0 times 10 is 0. So I can expect to get a value like 0 all the way up to the highest value. That would be like 0.99999 times 10, or 9.9999. And here's one right here. I generated it, 9.99226. That's pretty close. So you can see that. How about if we wanted to generate, so I'm going to get rid of this for loop for now and tab this back. Let's say that we wanted to generate a value between 15 and 20. How could we do that? Well, the general formula that we're going to be using for this is num equals a plus random.random times b. And remember that because of order of operations, I'll put brackets around this. Okay, so we could put a constant in front like this. I'm putting 0 right now so I don't change anything. But remember, random.random can generate a value between 0 and 1. So let's say that it generated 0. If it generated 0 and we multiply it, doesn't matter what we multiply it by, this term is going to go to 0, the term on the right of the plus sign. So if we want to generate a number smallest 15, we're going to have to put a 15 here on the end. So in general, given my generalized formula here, I guess, A is going to be the value of the lowest, the minimum that you want. And then you're going to make up for, you're going to always get a minimum of 15. Now, to get the maximum is going to be 20. What do we add to 15 to get 20? Well, 5. So that means our second term should be able to randomize to 5, or something just really close to that. So I'm going to put a 5 in there, because we're going to be just random.random can generate a number that is between 0 and 1. So let's say it generates on the high end something close to 1. 1 times 5 is 5, so 15 plus 5 is 20. So this should generate numbers between 15 and 20. Let's add our while loop in again. So I'm going to tab those two in, just so that we can see a bunch of examples. Sorry, we did a for loop. I in range 0 to 10, and see what we get. So when I run it, and you can try this too, well, the first value that I got was 15, then I got 16, 17, 15, 17, 19, everything's between 15 and 20. So in general, and I'm going to have a document that supports this in our online learning in the content section, this is the generalized statement. Let's do one more example. So let's say that we wanted to generate, I'm going to get rid of the for loop here. So generate, so here's, I guess, example 1. Here's example 2. I like usually doing this on the chalkboard, but I'm doing it on the computer because it's being recorded. Generate a value between, let's say, 12 and 36. 12 and 36. So here's the general formula. We're going to have something, I'm going to put 0 in for now, plus random.random times 0. I know it's not going to be zeros, but just as placeholders. And now we can sit back and think about what we need. And I'll put print num as well. So there's the general formula. All we need to do now, and it's going to take some thinking, what we change that first 0 to be first, to do that first, and then finally what we change the second 0 to be. So the first 0, as I claimed before, is A in our general formula, and that's going to be the lowest value. So you can always just set that to your lowest value, 12. Now, what do we have to add here at the end if we want to make up the remaining value so that it can add up to 36 if random.random generates a value close to 1? So 36 take away 12. So we get 24. So we put 24 there. That's going to be the correct answer because, okay, so let's take a look at both possible extremes here. So if random.random generates 0, that whole term that I have highlighted will go to 0. So we're left with 12, which is our lowest value. So that checks out fine. What if random.random comes up with something on the high end or near the maximum? So I know we can't generate 1, but let's just for simplicity's sake say we generate, what is 1 times 24? It's 24. 24 plus 12 is 36, so that is going to be correct. So notice we're never going to actually reach 36. We're going to get to a value very, very close to 36. So really we should say not including 36. And over here, not including 20. Put a comma so it makes more sense. All right, and we can try doing a for loop around that to see the value, and that's pretty much going to be the end of this lesson. So I'll quickly run this, and you'll see that I get values that are between 12 and 36. All right, that's the end of the lesson, generating random floats. Let me just check here, and yeah, look at the supporting document, and it will help you out as to how to come up with those terms.